Hello, everyone. It's Amanda with the Content Marketing Institute. Let me get this graphic off of here so you can see my face. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining me for this Monday Ask the CM World Community live stream, where each time we dive into a new topic with an awesome guest from our CM World community. This live stream is brought to you by the Content Marketing Institute. We are the leading training and education organization for all things content marketing. You can learn more about us at contentmarketinginstitute.com. Head over there for all kinds of education, our latest news articles, webinars, research. We have some awesome research, so head over there as well. All right, today's topic and guest is based on our Content Tech Summit, which is actually coming up here next week, May 31st through June 2nd in sunny San Diego. So when you're done here, so stay for the whole live stream, and when you're done, you can head over to content.tech and you can register for our awesome event. We have virtual and in-person options left. And if you stick around to the end of here at this live stream, I will have a special discount code for you to use as well. And as always, if you've joined me every week, you know the drill. As you join us, please give me a virtual wave, say hello. Let me know where you're joining us from. We love to hear it. We love to see it. It makes for a more engaging live stream when we hear from all of you. So if you have a question for a guest, if you have comments, please feel free to drop it in there. All right. So today's topic. You want your content marketing efforts to yield positive outcomes, right? Don't we all? Conversions, SEO, pipeline, these are all things the company cares about. And there are things that you can do to reach these goals, like write another blog post or put out another webinar or create more landing pages. But what about the other content producers across your organization? How are you getting them involved so you can scale your content marketing efforts? Well, today we are going to get some tips on how to successfully work cross-functionally. I see some of you jumping in already. Mohammed is joining us. Andy is joining us from Indianapolis. Like I said, drop it in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. Alexandria, hello. Thank you for joining us. All right, today's guest, Megan Gilhooly, is the Senior Director of Self-Help and Content Strategy at Reltio, covering technical product content and self-service for a data platform that unifies data across enterprise systems. Previously, she was a VP of Customer Experience at Zoom Software, and Megan has made it her mission to change how organizations think about product content. Hi, Megan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, how are you? Good to be here.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
We have people from all over here. Catherine's from here in Cleveland. We have Bilal, say that right, from Pakistan. So we usually have quite an international audience who joins us.
Looks
Cynthia
like it.
from LA.
Awesome.
We have someone joining us from London. Yeah. So thank you all for joining us as we go along here with Megan. Like I said, if you have a comment, a question, please feel free to drop it in there. All right. First of all, I love your title, Director of Self-Help.
Yes, right? Isn't that cool?
I love that.
I feel like I should be writing self-help books.
Right. That's what I was like.
It's a different kind of self-help, I guess. Yes.
It might be my favorite title of all time.
Yeah, it's really about making sure that our customers can help themselves, right?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've heard that before, so
It might be made up. But it's a good one. I like it.
It is a good one. I love it. All right, here we go. The name of your session at Content Tech is Beg, Borrow, but Don't Steal, Working Cross-Functionally to Attain Content Marketing Outcomes. So first of all, what content marketing outcomes should we be focusing on?
Yeah, so I think to really answer that question is I can't prescribe to somebody what outcomes they should have, right? Every company is in a content maturity. Every company is in a different mode in terms of what their goals are and what their top level initiatives are. So I'm not necessarily here to prescribe the outcome. I think what I'm trying to say is no matter what that outcome is, reach out to other people, beg from your other content producers to get some some of the stuff that they're working on that helps you get to your outcomes. Maybe borrow some of the work or ideas that they're doing. And really the idea of not stealing is don't steal their thunder, right? So it's less prescriptive and more saying, let's just work together across the organization and make sure that we're all getting to our content outcomes, whatever they may be.
All right. So to do that, we're going to work cross-functionally. What are some of the first steps to collaborating and to get others involved?
Yeah, so I think one of the first things is to recognize that you're not alone. You're not a team of one, and your team might be a functional team, but that people from a different content team are still on your team. And so I think really opening up our minds to understanding, even though others may create different content, there are uses that has for the customer. And ultimately, the customer doesn't know the difference between your blog and the technical documentation and a video in terms of which one they should believe, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're giving different information across all those places, then you're actually confusing your customer. So I think the first thing is just reach out, have some sort of a guild or a cross-functional group that's looking at content as a whole, as opposed to just focusing on pushing out your blog, pushing out your tech docs, pushing out your training.
Are there like conversation, like what are some of the ways, like should start with conversations, like are there technology, like what are some of the ways to make that collaboration and cross-functional working easier?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think ultimately it has to be conversations. Yes, there are tools out there. I think part of the problem with the silos we have today is that we all use different tools. And that's not a bad thing. It's just creating silos, right? So to bridge those silos, I think it takes having an overarching leader. It takes having conversations. It takes making sure that your outcomes are not in conflict, right? So if the marketing team has an outcome for search engine optimization on a certain keyword, and the tech doc page that's coming up is one that's maybe not leading to the best customer experience, then that's kind of a conflict, right? So maybe working together to make sure that the stuff that's landing high is actually stuff that's going to lead to conversion, as opposed to creating your own blog and pushing something else out to compete with your own team.
Are there technologies that you suggest or to make some of that easier, or is it just sort of whatever you think works best for your team?
Yeah, yes, there are definitely, I mean, there's tons of technologies that do this. It depends on the problem. You have to find the technology that solves the problem. For example, if you're trying to solve a problem of scalable video, I would have a different answer than if you're trying to solve the problem of people not communicating, right? So if you think about the video issue, I'm actually talking about in my talk at Content Tech Summit, so I don't want to give too much away, but there are video products out there that can help you collaborate on the videos, the kind of walkthrough videos. If you're looking at how you communicate, making sure that the communication channel you have works with the communication channels that other content producers are working on. Really, it comes down to add it into your content strategy. So I think that content strategy is going to be the tool, even though it's not really a tool, but the content strategy is the thing that really will help align everybody to common outcomes.
The most important tool, the content strategy.
Exactly. Yeah. So like simplicity is one of our outcomes that we're looking for today. So we brought in Acrolinks, which is this governing tool. Now we're implementing Acrolinks on our team, but then eventually we'll push that same Acrolinks governance tool out to many of the other content producers, right? So that's a tool that can help us get there. But ultimately, we got the tool because the overarching strategy is maniacally simple. Let's simplify what we got, right?
So you also mentioned this in your session is, why should we be thinking beyond just the blog or the landing pages or the webinars with all of our content producers across the organization?
Yeah, and this is one thing that I probably preach more often than I should, but ultimately it's not just get beyond the blog, but that's just sort of a cheeky way of saying get outside your box. You create a certain kind of content. If that's blogs, then that's blogs. Okay, that's great. But is that the only kind of content you can create? Can you work with another team and pull together and come up with some sort of an app that's going to create loyalty, that's going to convert customers, that's also going to create a really positive customer experience for the customers you already have, right? So really think outside your blog, outside your landing page, outside your technical documentation, outside your training content, whatever that is. Come together and think outside the box and determine what is it that your customers need from you? What is it that is converting prospects? And come up with the best experience that can kind of do all of that at once. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's kind of like, I kind of like think outside your team, right? Because you're
Yes.
talking about getting content producers across
Yes.
the organization. So it's like, maybe see what they think when you're talking about like developing an app or something.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I think one of the things to take it to the next step, one thing that I oftentimes see is teams will come together, they'll create something, and then they each take whatever that creation is into their own world. They push it out in their own way and they call it their own success, right? So
Oh,
it's so important to follow through and make sure that everybody knows this was a cross-functional success. This
mhm.
wasn't driven by marketing or driven by tech docs or driven by training. It was a cross-functional success that created the outcomes that each of those groups needed.
And then that can help lead to more cross-functional.
Exactly. Exactly. And most importantly, it leads to a better customer
Right.
experience, right? Because now we're all aligned in our terminology, we're all aligned in the information. We're not sending out different messages to different people based on who they are or where they are in the customer journey. We're sending out a unified message in a very fun, engaging way that customers will appreciate and will just lead to an amazing customer experience. And that's always a win.
That's right. That is always a win. That's what we want. All right, Megan, thank you so much for joining me today. Can you tell people how can they find you if they want to connect with you?
Sure. You can find me on LinkedIn, Megan Gilhooly. You can find me on Twitter at Megan Gilhooly. Or you can email me at megan.gilhooly@reltio.com.
Awesome. So, are you looking forward to see Content Tech next week?
I am so excited. So excited. It is always an amazing show. It's probably the most fun I ever have at conferences. Plus, it's in San Diego. So, like, kind of can't go wrong, right? So, yes, I'm very excited. It'll be good.
All right. So, if any of you want to, which we hope, join Megan in San Diego, head over to content.tech to register for our Content Tech Summit. And I'll give you this little code here. It's save 200. If you type that in there, you can save $200 on your registration. And of course, you can learn more about us, like I said, at contentmarketinginstitute.com. Thank you all for joining us today. As usual, we'll see you back here. Next week, we have a holiday here in the US, but we'll be back the following week. So thank you so much, Megan. Thank you,
Thanks so
everyone,
much.
for joining us.
Have a good
Enjoy
week,
San
everyone.
Diego.